Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the Fuel for Growth podcast with myself, Niles, and Leonard. Today, we're joined by a very, very special guest. It's my dad. My dad is a really, really incredible guy. He's got a lot of great advice, and throughout my
Have a really?
yeah,
Are you sure?
he's helped a lot of people out growing up. I've seen a lot of people coming in and out of this house who needed help. He's let prisoners sleep on his couch. He's let criminals in. He's let all sorts of people in. I mean, musicians, anybody, and some people have gone on to be very, very successful. And I will always, always commend my dad for some of the great advice that he gave me, even though I didn't always take it. I learned in the end that his advice was truly useful, And so my aim is to really we want to show you guys that today. We understand that a lot of people are lacking a good father figure in their lives, and we spoke about this once before, Leonard. So I'm just excited, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm excited too, man. You've talked a lot about your dad, man. Even in person, we was in Miami as well. So, man, you've had high praises for him. So I'm excited to meet him and, man, have this conversation, man. This is gonna be a lot of fun. I feel underdressed. Not only underdressed, but my setup is undone. Like y'all didn't step me up on every level today. Y'all, well done, bravo.
That's your fault, is it?
I guess that is my fault. Yeah, I should have told him about it.
Should have pre-warned him.
Yeah.
This is a suit fest. This is an actual suit fest right here.
This guy, he started just getting into the suits recently again. Actually, tell him about that, Dad. Tell him about it.
I've always liked to look good. I've been an entertainer for a biggest majority of my life, so I was always used to kind of dressing up really cool and looking crazy at times. Anyway, but the suit thing, my dad. Some of the old black and white photographs that I have of my father, he was the smartest looking dude I've ever seen. I mean, just absolutely immaculate. And my dad always said, look, if you want to impress people, if you want to be the first to be sat down at a table or just be taken seriously in general, he said, dress smart, dress to impress. And, it doesn't cost a fortune to actually do that. People have this perception of, oh yeah, well, he's wearing an expensive suit. I can't afford £300 or £400 for a suit. No, it's a lot cheaper than that. I mean, just recently I bought a jacket and a pair of trousers. Looking at it, you go, wow, that guy's wearing an expensive suit. £50 for the jacket and £30 for the trousers.
Okay, so what would that be about? What would that be about American-wise?
Oh, right.
It's like 20-30% more. So
do the conversion.
You're talking like $48, $50 for
$100. $100 for the jacket and trousers.
Oh, that's damn good. That's damn good.
It's nothing, and the material's fantastic, and it's a branded name, and it makes you look good, and you don't have to spend a fortune to do it. So I've always had smart jackets and trousers, and I'll buy them now and again because I haven't been making the effort to. Well, I haven't been doing anything where it requires me to look the business. But then just out of the blue, was it something you said? I can't remember why all of a sudden out of the blue I went, click, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, we went out.
No, I think it was you and Leonard. It was these conversations that you've been having about young guys and all that kind of stuff that set me off.
So we went out for a coffee. We went out for a drink, and essentially my dad, like, you kind of said, look, let's dress up in some suits today. Let's go out in some suits and
yeah. So I think look
let's
smart.
Look smart today.
I had a couple of suits that were stuck in the wardrobe. They were older style suits, but still quite. They were a bit wider, and I thought, all right, I've lost a lot of weight, so I thought I need to take them in. But I thought, I'll wear it because I haven't worn it in a while. So we went out, and did a coffee afternoon.
And we took some videos and photos and that. And then
it was quite cool, wasn't it?
And exactly.
It was quite cool.
He basically looked at the videos and photos and went, "This is cool. I like this. I'm going to start doing this."
Yeah, but not just that. I said, "Do you know what? There's too many young people wearing tracksuits and hoodies and stuff like that." I'm thinking, if you want to be taken seriously or you want people to respect you a little bit more, then dress up.
Yeah.
So I thought, do you know what? Hey, and I went down to my local suit store, and I know the guy very well because I've bought stuff from him in the past. And over the last 2 months, I've bought 7 suits.
Oh wow.
7 suits, man. Yeah. I'm thinking, am I crazy? And I'm like, no. So we started. Niles is really good on the camera. So the first few pictures he took of one of my new suits, I was like, wow, that looks really, really good. I could model suits, you know what I mean? Yeah. And he just took off from there. And I thought, nah, I'm going to do more of this because I want to educate and influence young guys to go, look, come on.
Yeah.
It's not costing a fortune to do this.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah,
And
no, and that's
you'll
kind
be
of like
probably taking more serious in your life.
yeah, and that's kind of like what Kevin Samuels said, right? When he started wearing a suit on Saturday, that's when people started taking him more seriously. When he started this wasn't just, oh, my 9 to 5. When I let this
Yep.
actually be who I was and presented myself more differently, people took me more seriously. I got to sit down at more tables. I got more business opportunities. I made more money. People just took me more seriously because I dressed more professional and more business outside of just my 9 to 5 hours.
Yeah, we went to a major city,
Newcastle.
Yeah, Newcastle. We were going to meet up with a couple of guys that I worked with 31 years ago. It was amazing to see them and that. And I said to Niles, I give me the opportunity. I said, because, they were my friends, and like, Niles, do you want to come? Because I get experience for him,
Yeah.
And we got dressed up in the suits and stuff. I wore my Austin Reed. I don't know if you've ever heard of Austin Reed before. Austin Reed, they're not a company anymore. Somebody at a bigger company took them over. There's no such thing as Austin Reed anymore. But Austin Reed were the pinnacle of London suits, office business suits. Very expensive. When I bought mine, it about £600 for a jacket and trousers. So that's like $800, $750.
Yeah, about $750.
About $750.
Yeah.
Now that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. But anyway, we had our long coats on. We looked good. It was a pretty bad day that day as well, because it was absolutely hammering it down. But the interesting thing was, I was trying to find somewhere to eat, and the guys were like, yeah, wherever you want to go, Mike, just whatever. And we went to this one particular place, and it wasn't like we walked in out to stand there going, was everybody going to come and serve us or what? This guy clocked us immediately and come straight over to us. Straight up, right, guys, what do you want? How many is here? Blah, blah. Straight away, sat down the menus. Yeah, which table do you want? Where do you want to sit? Just like that from how we were dressed.
Yeah, it was actually quite interesting to see, because he was having a conversation as we walked in as well. And he pretty much just said, right, okay, really appreciate it, guys. And left the conversation to come serve us straight away. And it was kind of like, is this normal here? But we noticed, we clocked, staying there. It's not, it wasn't just because that's normal. It's because of the fact that when you walk in and you're looking that way, people look at you differently and they go, these guys might be a big spenders. You know what I mean? Like these guys,
that's it.
Maybe it's that, or maybe even so, it's just the respect. They look and they say, this person took time out of their day to make sure they look good today.
True, but at the same time, I think dressed in your uniform, as my dad used to call it, dressed in uniform. When you have a uniform on, it's like they think you've got a big wallet. It's true. Yeah. It's true, because they'll sit you down instantly because they're thinking, these guys are not going to mess about. There's not going to be like, oh, can we get a discount on that? Or is it 3 for 2? Yeah. None of that rubbish. It's just like, sit down, can I have the menu? I want this. You're ordering it all. You get to the end, you go, yep, there's the bill. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, no, because like it's all about how you present yourself. People see that's the first impression they got. You're walking billboards. So yeah, no, and man, I miss that. Like I've seen like the old school movies, especially here in America. They're all like 3-piece suits out, gangster type style. Yeah. Like I'm like, man, why did that go away? But then like the heat hits, and I'm like, okay, how do I stay cool in this though? Like, because this can get hot really quickly in the summertime. So is that just where your materials will come in?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've got. I bought a couple of the one I'm wearing now. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
This one.
That's nice. I like that tie too.
Yeah, it's all matches, even down to the tie pin. The red tie pin goes with the tie as well.
Oh, that's dope.
But this is the autumn collection, so it's like the material's a little bit thicker. Yeah. So because it's a bit colder over here, but there's obviously other suits I have where the suit's really super thin and high quality material, but is better for the warmer climate over here. Well, when we have any sun, we've had miserable weather for the last few months. We've got floods all over.
Very true. Very true. I want to make a good point of something though as well, which is that I find it interesting that you see my whole life I've grown up with certain preconceived ideas about particular people, right? I've always thought that maybe a guy in a suit is arrogant, right? I've always thought that, if that guy's got money, he's looking that way and blah, blah, he's probably an arrogant person. He's probably ignorant. He's probably this, that, the other. And it turns out I was the ignorant and arrogant person for thinking that way, because ultimately I look at this situation right now, back when I would have never worn a fit like this. Now I'm like, this to me is the right kind of fit to wear casually. You
Do
know,
you, do, you, do
especially
you feel naked without it?
Yeah, I do. I do. And it's not that I don't like my comfortable clothing because Leonard, you know, I usually I'm on here with that hoodie, right? Like that's my look. It's the hoodie, right? Like,
is that right?
Yeah. The both of us were always in the hoodies, and it's like I have no problem dressing that way either. But I also do look and say, you know, truth be told, when you're in a fit like this, suddenly it's like I want to do work. I want to get something done today.
Well, what did we do? What did we? Because I said once I've got this on today, I'm not taking it off.
Yeah.
And we come back here, and I still don't want to take it off. I feel like it. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, said, "Right, let's do this." Because we were dressed for it, it was very matter of fact, very like, right, we need to list this. I need to get this sold. I need some photographs of this. Let's put this up here. And it was like bang, 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 bang. Yeah. Now, if I'd had my slacks on, you know, my jeans and my hoodie, my hoodie, I'd have probably slouched and gone, I can't be bothered right now. I'll do it in 2 days' time. So when you dress like this, you mean it's business, man. It's business.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's what it's like. This year I got my first 2 suits I've had outside of the military. The military gave me a suit, but I didn't wear that. You know, it's all green. All green,
nice.
not a good green. You look like a dill pickle.
Oh,
not that. yeah. So when I you know, content creator stuff started taking off, so I went and got me a blue suit and I went and got me a black suit. And yeah, you put it on, you feel nice. You come home. I didn't want to take it off, even though I'm just doing stuff. I'm trying to figure out. I'm making up reasons and excuses to have to film content in a suit for whatever reason, because you did feel better. And it, like we said on here before, like one of the football players over here, Deion Sanders, or former players, he says if you look good, you feel good, you play good. So he was all about, you know, present yourself. And that's kind of what it is too. If you come out here in the business world, present yourself right, you're going to feel good, which then you're going to have more confidence in yourself when you're having conversations, how you carry about yourself. And it's just going to be more open opportunity too. Like sometimes our demeanor and how we dress automatically gives off a vibe and gives off energy, and sometimes gives off that energy of unapproachableness. And kind of like Niall said, I had that that pre-thought that, oh, person in a suit, they're too good for me, or you know, they ain't got time for me. But that was my arrogance to understand, and that was a person I needed to try to get close to most and try to learn knowledge and be like a sponge and soak up knowledge from.
Yeah, I mean, you look at any like movie, right? If you look at movies today, I think movies have obviously given people a lot of ideas and things like that, because they're part of the content that influences us, right? We were speaking about this earlier. My dad is now doing this suit stuff on Instagram, etc., trying to influence people to be better. And we call them influencers on YouTube because they influence our everyday lives. And something I realize is that things like movies, etc., the wise guy, what's he always got? A beard, grey hair, and a suit.
I was about to say, you know, Leonard could really
he could pull it off.
Oh, with that beard, with the right suit, the right design, he would look amazing.
You should have seen him on his birthday. Yeah. This guy looked incredible.
Fantastic. And of course, you know, man after my own heart, bald head. Fantastic.
Yes. Finally, somebody ain't on here that's showing off a good full head of hair. I'm not alone now.
Come on.
Bald heads unite.
Balders united. Absolutely.
I've heard there's like a secret club, you know.
Now you know. Hey, you ain't supposed to know about that. You ain't supposed to know about that. Niles.
Hold on, Leonard. Yeah, that's the club.
Yeah. But yeah, man. So I absolutely agree. I think a lot of young guys these days struggle with this stuff, and I feel very fortunate to have a dad who's been able to teach me a lot of these kinds of things, because Leonard, you yourself, we spoke about it before, you never grew up with a dad like that, you know, that gave you advice such as that, you know. And I look at my life and I think sometimes it would be, I would love to see my dad be able to give advice to people who don't have fathers, right? Because I think that it's necessary. I don't know what your feelings are on that, but I think that it's necessary that people have a father role model, more than just a male role model, a father role model, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it was just like, you know, like, and I always try to reiterate this, because like no fault to his own. Like mom had health issues. He was working all the time, 12-hour shifts, constantly gone. Then when he had sleep, then take care of him. So like, wasn't always that time. But then there was a time, like, you know, he didn't grow up with dad. So he didn't always know how to handle certain conversations or certain situations, because he didn't have that and know how to. So I think that's the biggest thing that I learned from that, was like, he didn't have it, that transpired into me. So how do I find that? Because it is so impactful and important for somebody to have a father figure role model, not just a man role model, but a father figure role model as well. So there is a lot of guys out there that either their dad's gone MIA completely, their dad's there, but they ain't had a father role model, so they don't necessarily know how to be the role model themselves, or dad's so busy working all the time that he don't necessarily have the time to do that. So there's a lot of reasons why a lot of guys out here don't have father role models, and it's very important for them to have, because that's something we're really lacking in this society.
Well, I think the other thing as well is that a lot of children with fathers, the fathers are just too preoccupied with their own lives. And that's why you see a lot of kids on the streets where they just chuck them out on the street and say, look, I want my own time, get out. And I've seen kids just, dossing around because their own fathers couldn't care less about them. And maybe because their fathers didn't care about them, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. And I think there's definitely a lot of like a perpetuating cycle, right? Where one person has a bad life, so then they transfer that to their children.
It rubs off. It rubs off. If I had been a bad father to you, if I kick your teeth in every day of the week, your life would then be kicking other people's teeth in.
Yeah.
For instance, right? Niall's lived with me for some time.
Yes.
If me as his father, right, I looked across at a neighbour house and I said to him, kept saying to him, them people over there, he's evil, blah, blah. Kept saying this over and over into his head. All of a sudden, he starts throwing stones at that house. Now, why is he throwing stones at that house? Because his dad drummed into him that person's evil. It rubs off that way.
Yeah.
It just does.
It does. And, I want to talk about a little bit about my granddad, your dad. Because he was an interesting guy.
He was like someone else.
He was ruthless. He was ruthless to a degree, but at the same time,
ruthless.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like
clobbered.
In our family, this is the way I see it. Right, is that generation to generation, our family has learned something new, and that's been applied to the children, rather than going the bad way, which is that. The things that they didn't learn, they would then, suppress it to their children. No. It's the things that we didn't learn that we decided to make sure that our children don't repeat, right? And so I'm interested. I want you, because my granddad, basically, he was a rough man. And if you remember rightly, my granddad, he used to for instance, kicking people out of the house, right? As you just mentioned there.
Yeah.
That's something he used to do. But it worked to a degree for you. It worked for the discipline, right?
Yeah. I mean, my father wouldn't mess about if any of us, and I had two other brothers, one sadly passed away when he was 20, where are we now? 23. He committed suicide, unfortunately. I've got a younger brother who was an absolute nightmare. But my dad, if we did anything wrong, if we said anything wrong, it wasn't, like I would shout at him. I mean, the closest I ever came with him was he was pushing the boundaries of the alpha male to see how far he could push me. And unfortunately, he went a little bit too far. I've never hit him, but I scrunched his t-shirt at the time and pushed him right up the wall. And I said, you're that close to being absolutely punched out.
Yeah.
But I never had done that. But my dad, you see, was different. He would, if I said something or there's something he wasn't happy with, he'd just look and go, bang! And I literally right across and you'd go flying. But I'll tell you what, you didn't do it again. And you were very careful how you trod for a couple of days.
Yeah.
But then my dad was so rewarding at the same time. All he was doing was, he's trying to teach us as fast as he possibly could. He wanted to see us doing the right things in life. He wanted us to succeed.
Yeah.
So in some ways, it might, from an outsider, it might have looked in and thought, whoa, that guy's like mental the way he treats his kids. But we never overstepped the mark.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something now. For my father, there was nothing I wouldn't do for that man. And in the last 7 years of my parents' lives, my dad, I was there for my dad 3 days a week. If he rang me and said, oh, hey, son, what are you up to? I knew that call was, yeah, have you got the kettle on, Dad? I was thinking about calling over. Brilliant, the kettle's on, dumph. And I wouldn't hesitate, I wouldn't think twice. Because, they did the best they could with what they had. And believe me, my parents had nothing, absolutely nothing. We lived in a tied accommodation. A tied accommodation means it was attached to the job that my dad was doing at the time. Mm-hmm. And those properties, you were going in to bricks and mortar with holes in the ceilings. I'll never forget one time. There was myself and my late brother. We used to sleep in the same bedroom, and my younger one used to sleep in another one. And this particular morning, this retired accommodation that we were in, there's just this huge noise. I woke up apparently screaming my head off, and the ceiling had collapsed on both me and my brother. And when my dad approached the farmer and said, "Hey, this we can't do," he said, "Well, go get another job." Go get another job. So my parents had it rock hard. So
Yeah.
I don't blame them for being the way they were on us, because that's why I am the man I am today, because of that.
Yep.
And I would stand by my parents and my father. I mean, I adored and loved my father, such an intelligent man who he said, this is what you work with. He said, you can learn stuff. If you learn it and you can do it with these hands, he said, you can do anything. So every time we did a job, because my dad worked on cars a lot, and that's where, you know, he learned to be a mechanic, spray painter, electrician, joint, you name it. My dad would say, right, if you're going to do this job, you're not going to just go, oh, let's have a look, that'll do. No. You're going to learn it properly. That's why Niles will tell you, there's nothing I can't put my hands to, is it? And my doors, there's always a knock at my door. Hey, Mike, got a problem with my laptop. Hey, Mike, my car's making this funny noise. Will you have a listen? Mike, my motorbike's not running properly. Mike, the colour of this is wrong. What do you reckon?
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
It's true.
And that's because of my dad.
And, you know, and this is kind of my point that I was making, is that was my dad's upbringing, right? And so for the people at home watching, I want you to understand something, is that my dad experienced that life, right? And instead
it was hard. It was a brutally hard life.
And instead of looking at my life and saying, okay, I want it to be really soft for him, or I want it to be really hard on him because it was hard on me. No. He went, okay, let me pick the best parts. Let me pick the best parts, the best lessons I learned, whether they be hard or soft. And he went, I'm going to then instill them into my son. And he's taught me a lot of great lessons. And like I said...
Well, I said to myself, when I had children of my own, I said, one thing I won't do is hit them.
Yeah. Yeah.
My voice was enough. As you can hear, Leonard, I've got a very deep baritone voice. It's a natural baritone. People think I'm shouting. I'm not. It's a natural baritone voice. But I used to raise my voice to him, and he'd go crying. He'd go like, whoa, I'm off, whoa.
Yeah. It wasn't.
So I never lifted a finger, did I?
Never lifted a finger, no.
Never lifted a finger.
And that's the point, is that essentially, the point I'm making is that you at home, you might have a bad dad. You might have a family life that you don't really want. But understand that you can pick out the best parts from your family life and make a better family.
Yeah, that's it.
You know,
absolutely.
like
you have choices.
Exactly, you have choices. And I grew up with the understanding of, okay, like, life's difficult, but like, there is fun, there is laughter, there is joy, there is.
We had
love.
some fantastic times.
Oh, we still do.
Yeah, we still do. Yeah,
we still do. So, you know, I do think though that for a lot of young guys, they don't have a dad who's even willing to give the advice though. You know, most dads out there are too scared to even tell their children. Or
I don't know why. I don't know why.
Preoccupied.
Yeah, but whether you're right or wrong in what you're about to say to your kid, you know, or if it doesn't make any sense, you know, you should still say it. I think you should still try with your child.
Yeah.
If you keep, I think I think that's some of the point of being like, they never had it, so now they're still trying to figure it out, and they're not confident that they figured it out, so they don't want to give their child some bad advice. So, like, and I think that's what it was with my dad, is that like he didn't necessarily know what was the right thing and how to say the right thing. So he was too afraid to give me bad advice. So he was just didn't give some advice in some situations. He's like, I don't know, go figure it out. Or it's like, I don't know what to tell you. It is what it is. And that's what I got a lot of the time. So it's just like, that's why I think a father figure is so important. So people will know like how to handle those situations more and don't be afraid to be wrong.
Yeah. I think it's terrible because, I mean, I've given him and my eldest advice. I would never say my advice has been perfect. It's been as good as I can physically give it with the information that I had from my upbringing. So sometimes I got it wrong, and he's probably thought, that was a strange bit of advice. And he's like, whoa, why did he say that? So my advice has never been, I would never look at myself and go, I'll give great, amazing advice. I don't think. Yeah. I'm just picking from my history, my long life, you know?
Yeah.
Of what's happened to me in general, and hoping that some of the bits that I've learned and some of the bits that have been bad for me, that he doesn't kind of make the same mistakes, or he's got at least a good footing to go, hey, you know, my dad's taught me this little bit here. No, I think I'll go ahead anyway and go, actually, some of it was right, you know?
Yeah.
That's all you can hope for.
Yeah. No, and that's like what I tell my kids too, is like don't use me as an excuse to do something wrong. Don't be me, be better than me. Don't be like, well, you did it, so I get to do it.
Mm,
No, if I did
mm,
it, then you should now know not to do it. Learn from my mistakes. 'Cause
100%.
my
Yeah, yeah.
overall goal is not for you to be like me growing up. Because if that's the
Mm,
situation I failed, I want you to be better than me in
yeah, yeah.
in every part of that life. So I try to give them advice, and I tell them like, look, this is what's worked for me. This is the advice, but advice comes with situational, and every situation is a little bit different. But this is the advice. This is what's worked for me. Apply it, and process it and understand. And I was like, sometimes I'll give you advice now, and you'll be years down the line, and then it'll click, and you'll be like, I never understood why Dad said this, and you're gonna get in a situation. And that's click. So it's like I might be overloading you with advice because I never really had that. So I try to give you as much advice as I can, but some of my advice ain't going to work. Some of my advice is going to be wrong. I'm not going to be perfect, but this is things that help me, and hopefully this will help you situation, because some of those things I'm giving you is advice that I did wrong rather than what I think you should do that's going to be right.
I think the other thing is, as well, as a father, is that we can let go of them a little bit more than the mothers can, because we want them to learn. Now, for instance, with him, 16, he says, Dad, can I go with my friends to down south? It was a good train drive away for New Year.
Yeah.
Now, as his dad, you're going to worry a little bit because, along the way of my life, I picked up little things like, oh, I went off and did that on my own and I got beaten up for doing it.
Yeah.
But I said to him, right, I'll let you go, because his mother was like, he doesn't want to go. He's 16. Oh, I'm like, the kid's got to learn, and he's a lad, and he needs to learn as a lad. And you need to let them go a little bit. So I said to him, the warning was, I said, right, you can go. I don't have a problem with that. You've got it all sorted out. You went, yeah, I've got the train sorted out, blah, blah. Your friends are definitely going to meet you. Yeah. I said, right, you can go. I said, but if you get into bother because you've chosen to do this, I'm giving you a little bit of leeway. If it all goes wrong, don't ring me. You will get out of it on your own.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. He said that, and I believed it. I believed it wholeheartedly.
So, and because he believed it, because I really pushed it over here.
Yeah,
he didn't make any mistakes. He didn't.
No, I didn't.
Because he'd be like, I don't want to be left down there.
Yeah, I made sure everything was on point. And what was funny is that it's like that doesn't even have to be true. But I believed it.
It doesn't have to be true. It's just that what installed in him was like, hey, if it all goes wrong, you've chosen to go down there.
Yeah,
you will get yourself out of the mess.
Exactly. And
but that's so good as accountability in man and in life, because that's life in that situation. That right there was a valuable moment. That is life. No matter what's going to happen as a man, nobody's coming to bail you out. Nobody's coming to fix you. Nobody's going to come to help when you do it. That's going to be yours. You're going to be held accountable, and you're going to carry that responsibility for whatever mistake you made.
Absolutely, that's it.
Before you do anything, make sure you've thought this out thoroughly. That's a good lesson.
Yeah, absolutely. And it did make me accountable. It did actually make me understand that, hey, life, I've got to be responsible. You know what I mean? I've got to be responsible for my own actions. I've got to be responsible for what I'm doing, right? Because ultimately, especially as a man, let's be real, as a man in this world, you have to be ultimately responsible for everything. You can't be irresponsible. It's not allowed, because if you are, bad things happen. I mean, we only have to look like not even 2 centimeters at the mainstream media, right? And you've got people being stabbed in London. You've got all these bad things happening around the world.
It's gone crazy.
It's gone crazy, and it's like when you look and you actually look at it, it's always men who have had very traumatic childhoods, or who have never had a father to tell them what's right from wrong. And I think many people mistake that. I used to think that we were born with a sense of right and wrong, right? I think that now as we go out through our days, yes, we do have. I think when we're born, we do have a little bit of a sense of right and wrong, with things like hurting another person and things like this. But ultimately, deep down, especially with children, most children are psychopathic, because when they're born, they ultimately just want to survive, right? And they don't care about empathy.
Give me food.
Yeah, give me food. Give me water.
Sleep. I need sleep.
Give me sleep.
Warmth.
Exactly. Like
cuddle me, mommy. Cuddle me,
yeah,
daddy.
Exactly. Cuddle me. Like they don't look and think, oh well, they're having a bad day, so I probably shouldn't ask. You know what I mean? Like they just care about themselves. And ultimately, it's what we teach our children. It's what we teach.
And the parents are there crying their eyes out because you won't shut up.
Yeah. And it's what we teach our children. that brings us into the men that we are today and the women that we are today. And that's why I look at life and I think that a lot of men and women today were abandoned, and that's why we have so many irresponsible people. And more importantly, I always look at the men most of the time because I am a man, so I understand the life more.
Don't you think it's difficult, though? I mean, even today, that because of the way society is and the way governments work and stuff like that, the two parents are having to both go out to work, and sometimes the children are coming home and having to wait for their tea. They could be home 3 or 4 hours on their own before the parents even get in.
Facts. Yes. I mean, that's true. That's exactly it too. Like,
and I think there's part of the problem there. Where back in my mum and dad's day, right? My dad was let me say this, and he was the breadwinner. Yeah? He was the main man. He went out, he worked, he brought the money home. My mum was waiting on the doorstep for him. Come on, I've got your tea on, blah, blah, blah. The kids are sorted, blah, blah, blah. Everything's done for you. You relax.
Yeah.
My mum was there scrubbing the steps and stuff like that. Now, that might sound like, crazy this day and age. The thing is, it worked.
Yeah.
It actually physically worked.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of women out there that agree with it as well, even to this day, because I've seen interviews with women who are against feminism.
Yeah, yeah.
What's feminism? What has feminism done for them with men? What have they done? It's alienated them from us. It's alienated them.
And guys, vice versa as well. Guys feel very alienated from the whole situation with women right now. It's been brutal. I mean, Leonard, you've experienced firsthand some of the dark sides of it all, right? You've experienced firsthand some of the dark sides of it all.
Yeah, no, man, it's dating and everything. It's just it's hard now because it's such a business transaction and how women look at everything. And then at the end of the day, they also look at you like, okay, what can you do for me? It's business transaction like that for them. But then it's like, constant reminder, I don't need you neither. Reminder, I don't need you. I never need you. I can do anything that you can do. But it's like, you got to have a plan. Like, there's a saying that it takes a village to raise a child, right? Like, everybody can't go work and make the breadwinner. Somebody has to take care of the kid. Somebody has to raise them up with the values and the morals so they know what's right and wrong, so they can be a productive person of society, right? And that's the thing that's gotten so far away. Like you said, two parents are going to have to work just to sustain a household, just to live and do the bare minimum, which makes no sense.
Society is creating this problem. Society is creating this problem. And I think it's worse now than it was back in my day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny as well because we'll sit here today and I'll say that my grandma, his mum, was by far one of the greatest people in our family.
Matriarch. She was a matriarch.
Solid. Yeah.
Solid as a rock.
But she was. You could always turn to her for anything.
She had an answer for everything, didn't she?
Yeah, she did.
She was amazing.
She had an answer for everything, and she was always there to support you. And even when things were really wrong, right? If it was really wrong, it would go to my granddad, and my granddad would give the stern, disciplined telling. And then my grandma would be the opposite end to go, right, that's enough. Now let's look at how we sort this out. Right? And it was like, that was the power of the relationship.
Yes, bro. Because like when I was growing up, like the dads would yell at you, this and that, be very firm and strict. But then the moms would come and talk to you in such a soft tone and manner, and they could just say what you did was wrong. And it seemed like that cut deeper than dad screaming at you for 30 minutes over there, just telling you how disappointed mom was and how that. It's like, oh, okay, all right. So it's like you had the good guy, bad cop, and it's like everybody's trying to play the same role. And nobody's trying to play the roles that's needed. Everybody's competing for one role when there's multiple roles that need to be played for it to be, successfully achieved.
My mum, if you did wrong, before it reached my dad, you'd walk in the kitchen and she'd be stood there with the frying pan and she'd just go, and look at the frying pan, look at you, and you'd be like, turn round, go out. Before it got to me, Dad.
Yeah.
It was wooden spoons for me.
It was the frying pan for us.
Yeah.
It was a hard life.
But you see, this is what makes me laugh though, because for me, it was none of that. It was just words, right?
Yeah.
But words were so powerful to me. I've grown up in an age where I think words mean everything. I had about 8-9 years where I never had access to any social media, right? No social media, no smartphone, No.
Well, I tried to, as these were growing up,
Yeah.
it was one of those things where I knew, because obviously I used to have my own business. I used to do computer technology and stuff like that. It was very specific what I did. And I could see the technology coming up. The phones were getting better. But I made a decision. I said, they can only have a little bit of it.
Yeah.
They're not gonna live on a phone. They're not gonna live on a tablet. I got them the gaming consoles and stuff, but they're only allowed a set amount of time on that. So they weren't on it 24/7 like most kids are these days.
Yeah, exactly. And as I said before, new things meant that there was things that we didn't know about, things that he wasn't able to teach me because it was a new world, right? I mean, it was like technology was crazy. But the one thing I'll say is I've had the juxtaposition of growing up without technology, where I just ran around the streets with the kids, played around with water guns,
You
Nerf
played like
guns.
a young lad meant to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Outside.
Like train sets, like remote control cars, all this other stuff. And it was so fun to me. And we went camping all the time as well. That was super
Camping
important.
was a big thing.
Big thing.
Being outdoors in the middle of a field and roughing it for 3 or 4 or 5 days.
Yeah. And so
they loved it.
I think for a lot of young guys out there, they need to understand that like a lot of these young guys, especially that are dealing with all these issues, is because from day one, their parent couldn't be bothered, or the parent was working all the time, the parent was busy, the parent was this, whether it was mum or dad, and they've never had that relationship. And so instead, what did their parents do to them when they were kids? Here's the iPad, watch this. Here's the iPhone, watch this. Here's a YouTube video.
You see it right now.
Yeah,
you can be in a coffee shop, restaurant, whatever. If there's a family with kids, one kid will start playing up. They go, "Here, shut up," and they'll give them a game on a phone. Immediately, it's like that's like a dummy.
Yeah,
it's like a dummy for a kid.
Yeah.
It's like I'm sat there going, "Oh my lord."
And it's ruining them.
This is mental.
It's ruining them because they're growing up. Somebody said this is a fantastic quote. I can't remember exactly who it was, but he said, it's not that the kids of today are addicted to the technological world. It's that the real world isn't real and the technological world is real.
I think there was a fantastic, I don't know if you guys have seen it. I saw it not so long ago. There's this fantastic little sort of animation thing where a woman's pregnant and she's about to give birth. The baby comes out the womb, grabs the surgeon's phone and starts clicking as it's just come out the womb. and I went. That was
That's it.
Right
there.
That's
it.
Yeah, that's society right there. No, like it is because like they do have. So like you had that good example for you as growing up as a child, like they was there and warming and had things thought out and planned. But like for us too, growing up, I grew up with the saying, "Hey, go outside. If you come back in, you're in for the day. So if you need a drink, you drink from the water hose, or but you outside for the day. You don't come back in, or you're in for the day.
If you're hungry, eat the worms in the soil."
So like if you was wanting to hang out with your friends all day, you wanted to do that. And I used to skateboard, so I'd go outside, skateboard with my friends all day. We'd go skateboard around town. Then when we was out there, we go into the dollar store, like, all right, how much change you got? How much money you got? This and that. All right, we can go get a six-pack for $1. We go get some chips. And then we come back for the street lights came out, but we made sure that we was good. But that's what it was for us.
Brother. I was keeping it real, brother.
So but that was fun times, but it was like, that was kind of like here's the tablet. That was, go outside and play and don't come back to the light.
Thing is, though, you're remembering that, you see. It's all up there. The great times you had on skateboarding and raking those few pennies together to buy some sweets, hanging with your mates. There was no better time. It was amazing. But nowadays, you go on the street, you don't see many kids on the street this day and age.
No.
You just don't.
And you see a lot of guys, and me and Leonard were talking about this. We said there's a lot of boys who are 21, 23, 25, 28. There's a lot of young boys who haven't grown into a man yet, and they're getting older, and there's still not a man.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of immaturity now.
Yeah. Well, no, exactly. And it's because they didn't have that outside life.
Well, what did I say?
To see what the real world was like, right? Like to experience it.
Something I said, because my dad always said, one of the things he said, because obviously, my dad saw life going up like this and, new society coming up, and he's like, I don't like what I'm seeing. But he always said, when young men, not the women, young men, when young men leave school at 16, they should be doing national service. Well, I don't agree with war, bullets and all that anyway myself. But I said, what we need when kids come out of school like him at 16, are like a year program where they go in and they learn about life. They they get to work out every day, learn to cook for themselves, learn to stitch their clothes, all these kind of things, and like knock that stupid little edge they have when they leave school off, and then they'll grow into to be proper men.
Yeah.
I mean, I've tried to teach, obviously, mine as best as I could, but maybe I left a few things out. But I hope I've done well enough, and I think I have, because I was just
absolutely.
Yeah, when you say that, what did I say about what was it? You've done as a dad and as a man myself, you've done exceptionally well, and the satisfaction you have is, I brought up 2 boys. Yeah, that's one thing. But mainly is when they're ringing me and going, "Hey, Dad, you want to hang today?" Oh my God, my heart explodes. It's like, what a great feeling that I've done the job in my head. I've done a job well enough that my 2 sons will ring me and say, "Hey, do you want to spend the day together?" And we have. Yeah. We do all sorts of crazy stuff, don't we?
Yeah.
And we love it. We enjoy it,
Absolutely. And I want to make a point of something you said as well about that disciplinary. I don't know if you might have seen this clip before, Len, as well. On the Joe Rogan podcast, he brought up a clip, and it was one of the first ever video cameras in 1910 or something, like ages ago. And it was a first ever video camera, where it was like taking like these shots on like a reel like this. And it was these young lads coming back from the coal mines.
Yeah,
from the coal mines. These kids are younger than 19. These kids are 15, not even that.
No,
12 years old. Yeah. They've got waistcoats on. They've got shirts, and they've got coal soot all over their face. Yeah. And you're like, what? What am I looking at? And you look at the kids of today, and we look at something like Neon, right? You might have heard about this kid Neon, Leonard, online. Mm-hmm. This streamer who's going absolutely mental. He's hanging with this OnlyFans girl and these different, like, essentially online prostitutes, I would call them, right? He's hanging with all these different, and he's supposed to be a Muslim kid.
Whoa.
Right?
Yeah.
He's supposed to be a Muslim, and he's smoking weed live. Right,
well, I'm sorry, but he's not a Muslim.
Exactly, and I'm looking at this, and I'm thinking this is wrong, and I shouldn't judge because obviously I'm not supposed to.
No,
right? I'm not supposed to.
But
like not meant to here's the thing that I will say: people are letting him off because they're saying he's 19, he's just a kid. It's like kids back then were 11, 12 years old in the coal mines. Their faces covered, bruised, cut up. They're walking around like men, back straight, everything. Here's this kid, 19 years old. I mean, gee. Alexander the Great conquered the world at 19 years old. 19. Yeah. I'm 23. I think I've been telling my dad a lot about this. I said to my dad, I said, look, I need to take on more responsibility. I need to become more of a man because I'm 23 now. I see it as like I need to even be a better man. And it's hard these days with technology and things like this. The time for you to become a man is being delayed, basically. And you just look at society, man. It's crumbling. It's crumbling. It's a positive correlation. As men are becoming boys instead of men, as boys are staying boys, society is getting worse.
Yeah, we've got to remember something that we had guys younger than you in the Second World War fighting for, and this is what gets me, man, when you see children destroying things and abusing their elders and so on. Yeah. It's like we had kids younger than Niles who fought for our freedoms that died. I mean, my mum's father was one of those people that was on the beaches of Dunkirk.
Yeah.
Her father saw the most unbelievable things on that beach. And most of his men he was with didn't return with him.
Yeah.
These people, these guys, these hard men, these rock solid hard men, they died. They died for our freedoms, but then you look out the window and see what's going on in society with all this division that's going on. And I'm just appalled and disgusted at it. I really, really am. It's like, and I'm thinking, what can I do to change it? I'm thinking, well, I've got to start here. I've got to start small. I've got to start in my little corner of the world. If I can affect this, maybe it'll spread out like a ripple on a pond and go further and further and further. I can only hope for that. But unfortunately, I can't change the world. I can't change the society that men have created. That this society we have was created by men.
Yeah.
It's crap.
So I got a question for both of y'all. As y'all was like talking about this, I kind of come to the realization of this as well. But back in times, there used to be a passage of manhood, right? Well, you go through this, and then now you became a man. You had to go through these. Now you become. what is that nowadays? When do a man know that he's became a man nowadays? What is that sentimental mark now in modern
Well,
times?
because I hear this a lot, and I believe that a man truly, well, a young guy, like, well, we'll take Niles for an example. He is still not fully a man.
Yeah.
Right? He's taking some responsibility, okay, and he's challenging himself. But it's when you have a family, when the family comes along, and you've got children, that's when you become a man because you've got to take full responsibility now for other people. That's it. It's as simple as that. That's when you become a true man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely,
So having
100%.
the children and taking care of them properly, providing, actually stepping up to that task. That's that.
Yeah, you can take care of your friends. You'll be there for your friends and your brotherhood.
Yeah.
You'll always have each other's backs. But it's like you say, when do you truly pass the threshold of going, wow, I'm a man now? I mean, when I had these, it was like I was still, in my head, oh, yeah, I'm a young guy, I can do this, I can do that, blah, blah, blah. Probably still being a bit daft with myself. And I was always daft because I had the nickname Mad Mike. But the minute Finley was born, it was like, oh, there's this little thing in my hand. Oh, what am I going to do? And it was like the realization, hey up, step up the plate now. And my dad, the funny thing was my dad, he used to say to me, he said, you'll be a proper man when you have kids. I'm like, I'm a man now, Dad.
Yeah.
I'm a man now. Like, I've done this, I've done that. He went, nah, you know nothing, son. You know nothing. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, Dad. And then all of a sudden, Philly came along, and I was like, flipping it. And then he came along. It was like, oh, I've got two now. Oh, blinking it. And that. Then you had to you had to be solid.
Yeah.
You had to know what you were doing. You were responsible for these.
Yeah.
Every inch of the way, you were responsible for these.
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was crazy, man. But that was the threshold for me. I stepped over that line and I went, right, this is what my dad was on about, because he used to laugh about it, my dad. Wait till you have them. Wait till you have children of your own.
Yeah.
See, because that's what my thought process was too. Because like mom was always sick, so we was taking care of house young with everything that she had going on with her health issues. Dad's always working, so like I had my first job at 13, but then I had my first kid at 17. And I don't know if Niles is telling you, I got 7 kids total.
Whoa, dude, 7.
yeah.
I had 2 and it was enough.
Yeah.
So I never kind of had those younger years where I was like, I got to be selfish. I was like, it's like my son was literally born the night before my high school graduation. My son was born May 31st. I graduated high school June 1st. So
how old were you when you had your first?
I was 17. Yeah.
So you were 17. Wow, man.
Yeah, I was 17. I was a month away from 18. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Then I had my second one at 19. And I was in the military by 19 as well. And then I was in Iraq by the age of 20. So
sorry, just a quick question there, just before you move on. What was it like for you then, going into the military? What did it do for you? What did you get from the military?
It gave me a wake-up call for how brutal and how sinister this world can actually be, and how unforgiving this world is. It lets you know there's more, and it's a bad moments to kind of have to deal with, because it is like so sinister in moments. But like in the military, it really taught me like how small you are to the world, but how big of an impact you can have, because you can hear today, but you're gone tomorrow. Everything still has to carry on.
So how long were you? How long were you in the military for?
3 years. But like within my first, like as soon as I was out of basic and AIT, I was almost right off to Iraq.
So so when you came out, why did you come out? Did you just choose to come out, or?
I got hurt. I got injured. I had injury to my right leg. So
did it change your civil life? Did you come out of the army? And when you come back to sort of your civil life and things are kind of like calming down a bit, did that completely change you as a person?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I still have issues trying to like fit back into the civilians and civilian lifestyle and everything.
The thing is, go on, Leonard.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say the thing is, and obviously I know a little bit of Leonard's backstory. The thing is about military, and as we were saying before, it does to a degree teach you a lot of discipline. It does to a degree teach you a lot of different things. However, you don't actually want to be in a war, right?
No,
Like you don't want to be in those positions at all. And this is kind of the point that me and my dad was making earlier, which is like we need a way to discipline like men again, right? But we also need to do it in a way which is in a
without them pointing a gun at someone.
well, yeah, without forcing them to point a gun at
Yeah.
somebody that they don't even want to point a gun at, right? Without telling them, hey, you've got to get rid of this thing because this thing's gonna kill you or whatever.
Well, see, and to that point, man, here in the military or here in the States, back in like the 50s and 60s and I think 70s, they used to have in high school a military fitness test. You just had to
Yes.
pass a military fitness test. You didn't have to go to military, but you had to, military came.
That's
You had
interesting,
these
that, yeah.
prerequisites.
That's good.
Yeah, so like there has to be something because school's not teaching people how to actually be adults in the world. They're teaching you how to sit down in a desk and do something that somebody tells you to do and do that. But
Yeah, you
they're
know
not
why,
actually telling
Lennon?
you.
It's
I
called
do know
programming.
why.
It's programming. Yeah.
Exactly, but they're not actually like they don't teach you how to balance checkbooks or balance accounts. They don't teach you how to cook. They don't teach you how to maintain a house.
They want you to get into debt.
Correct. So, but it's like, so we need something that lets you know, like, all right, now the real world hits. This is what you're expected to do. You're expected to pay bills. You're expected to keep your house clean. You're expected to take care of your body and smell clean. Like all these other things that just ain't getting taught to younger kids nowadays.
So you two young guys, what do you think should happen? What do you think should happen to change things? What can happen? What can be done?
Yeah.
To literally turn this on its head and go, hey, look, this is what needs to be done now. We need to get rid of this old system because it's been in place a long, long time. Because at the end of the day, the main things that we need in this life is to know how to write, read, and be able to add and subtract.
Yeah.
And then if you, like Niles, left school, he wanted to be an engineer. So at the end of the day, he's going to have to go to college and learn subjects to do with engineering because this is his chosen field. So if he's at school and they're going, yes, Niles, we want you to do this sculpture, get your chisel out, you're going to do this, and it's going to have this and this. And he's going like, but hold on a minute. I have no interest in sculpturing. I want to be an engineer.
Yeah.
But they're not catering for that at his school.
No.
They're going, oh, no, now you need to learn to do this. Well, again, why do I need to learn that rubbish? Biology. I am no interested in the body. I need to be an engineer.
Yeah.
So what can be done to change that? Because it just...
It's curriculum, right? It's also we need to stop treating people as if they're super young all the time, right? I mean, I remember when I was you remember when I was 14 in school, I started to really just grow up fast, like fast.
Was
like
that the time I had to come in and sort one of your teachers?
Yeah. So when I was in school, when I was 14, I was growing up fast, and one of my teachers, I'll never forget this. It was an English teacher. She goes, "Have you done your homework?" And I just went, "No." And then she was like, "What do you mean, no?" I was like, "No, because we've already learned it in the lesson. Why do I need to go home and write it out? This has got nothing to do with what I'm trying to do in life because I decided early on that I wanted to get into engineering. Now, obviously, my path has changed now, but that was my initial thing that I wanted to do. And I knew like these subjects that had nothing to do with the actual physical reality of the job I needed to work, right? And more importantly, I also understood that money ultimately is what allows you to pay bills, food for your kids, for whatever, to provide.
I always was very transparent with my children. And now when he started living with me, he was like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I said, look, son, this is how life works. And I opened my bank account up and I showed him that right in front of his eyes. I said, there you go. There's the money. And he went, I'll never forget, he went, wow, that's a lot of money. I went, is it really? Get your pad out, right? I've just been paid. I just had my money in. So get your pen and paper out. And he went, right. I said, right, now jot all this down, rent, electric, gas, mobile phone bill, car tax, car insurance, fuel for the car. Went through it all. He went, oh, you've only got 80 quid left. I went, yep.
Yeah.
And he straight away he went, right, I think I've got it. I think I've got it.
And that's why I understood the value of money. So I'll never forget. I said no to this teacher, and then we went like throughout the day, and then I got another teacher. She got another teacher, pull me aside, screaming in my face. It's like literally screaming in my face. Bear in mind, I think back to this now, and I think, how ridiculous is this? A guy who was in his mid-30s was screaming at a child for not writing some pieces, some notes on a piece of paper. You know, and I look back at that now and I think, where did you go wrong in life? Like at what point did you think, oh yeah, this is a great idea, I'm going to scream at some child for not writing notes in a pad? Like, come on.
Maybe because he was screamed at as a kid.
Well, but this
or
is
he's
the
just upset about his life.
upset about his life, or this is the other way I look at it. I think it's the curriculum and it's a job. A teacher ultimately gets paid to be there, right? They would not be there. Well, some teachers would. I'll tell you, some teachers would, because some teachers genuinely care, and those are the teachers that we usually remember. Those are the teachers that we like. But majority of teachers are there because they're getting paid to be there. They're not there because they actually give a crap about what they're teaching. They get paid to be there. Therefore, they are going to follow the curriculum, because if they don't, they're going to lose their job. They're going to lose their income. They're going to lose their bills. They can't pay for their wife's food. They can't pay for their child's food, right? So it's like, ultimately, it's a big perpetuating cycle where they have people teaching things and they don't even know why they're teaching it, right?
Right, yeah, because there's I scroll through my TikTok and stuff, and I come up across these videos, and one dude was talking about like how he was talking to the Board of Education and to the principals and everything. They was like, we send homework home, we expect your kid to do homework. He said, my kid's not doing homework. And they're like, what you mean? He's like, do I send my kid to school with a backpack full of dirty dishes, telling you do the dishes and send them back home? He said, no, I don't. Fantastic. He said, don't send your kid home. Don't send my kid home with homework because you didn't complete your job during the day. And now you want me to sit back and relearn what I already learned to help validate your degree. That's not what I'm here for. I already learned this. I already went through this. Don't send this home for me now. No, this is our time. This is time that we're supposed to be doing stuff, that we're supposed to be bonding. We're supposed to have family time. And you're sending home 2-3 hours worth of homework.
We coming. Sorry, Leonard. We're coming back down to that again. The creating division, the creating separation from children to their parents because of what they're doing.
Yeah,
it's all done on purpose.
They're isolating children who want to be somebody as well. You know,
because they don't want you. When children go to school, you're there to be suppressed and held back. You're not there to succeed. When you leave school and going, hey, what, in a year I'm an entrepreneur, I've made millions. They don't want that.
I mean, the whole year, what do they repeat all year round? All year round in schools, what do they repeat? Your exams, you best pass your exams. You got to pass your exams, guys. Yeah. It's like they drill it into your mind, and suddenly people's lives, these children's lives, these humans believe that their whole life resonates around a result on an exam, on a test, which isn't even meant for them. It's meant for a general consensus.
But again, it's also validation for that teacher and their degree, that like how good I learned and I'm better than the other. It's not even about the students. It's all about the validation for the teacher and their degree and why they went to school.
Do you think these kids, these young men, they're at school and they're not being able to be who they want to be? They know what they want to be, but they're being suppressed all the time. They come out of school and they start knifing people and smashing cars up, stealing cars, breaking into houses. Is it absolute frustration because they weren't allowed to literally be who they really needed to be?
I think it's very possible. Yeah, I think it's very possible. I think, I mean, if you look at any of those kids' lives, it's always the same situation.
Me, again, back to myself and my dad, my mum as well, but my dad as well. But my dad never let us get bored. When we were at home, I mean, we were very lucky, Leonard. We lived on farms. My dad was a farmman for many, many years. So we had fields. We had lots and lots of fields to roam in. But my dad was always there, always nurturing. He'd build dens with us. I'll never forget this one. My mother hit the roof. He says, right, Flo. He said, they need to learn about stuff, proper stuff, man stuff. She went, right, Eric, what are you doing with them? He went, be all right, they'll be safe. Don't you worry. I'll keep them safe. So my mother's going, doesn't sound very good because you say you'd keep them safe. So my dad walked us across a field. He's like, come on, kids. I walked across this field and there was this tree stump, this big tree stump in the ground. He said, now we need to get rid of this. He said, now your dad's going to show you. I'll never forget it. He said, I'm going to show you how to make a bomb.
What?
I'm going to show you how to make a bomb. It's true. This is true. And we're going, right, Dad? He's going, we're going to get rid of this stump and we're going to get it out of the ground, but we're not going to pull it out. We're like, all right, Dad. We were like excited. We're like, yeah, go on, like fireworks. That's what we thought, fireworks. Come on. He said, He said to us, "What the lights that you need to run? We're just kids." And he went, "Shh. Right, run, kids." We were like, "Where's Dad? Go get behind Dad." We got so far, and there was this. Honestly, my mother nearly died. You could hear this explosion like fields away. I mean, when we got back, my mum's going, "Eric, I'll kill you. I'll kill you." I'll tell you what, we learned to be men, I'll tell you. Oh, the crazy crap my dad did with us. We had to harden up, I'll tell you. If we hadn't run, we'd have been blown up.
Oh my god!
Oh, the good old days.
Oh wow,
that's hilarious.
Oh, you know
my
what?
god!
That's my dad.
Oh, that is so funny.
So when I like this run, wait, hold on, wait a minute.
And what is it? So I had to run from a bomb that my dad laid. Yeah, kids of today, I'm they, them, this, them, whatever they are. You know.
I think he goes to
I have no
man.
idea what I am. I'm a tree, I'm a cat. Don't come anywhere near me. Don't breathe on me.
Oh wow, that's funny. But you know, I think full circle, man. That's it right there, right? Like you learn as a young lads to become men because it's like you were shown the real danger.
You know Do you know how old I was then? 8 years old. 8 years old. And I'll tell you what, it's absolutely imprinted on my brain. I will never ever forget how close I came to death. Seriously,
showing real fear, real danger is like it needs to happen. Like,
you
that's
run.
some of the problem.
Believe me, you run like a rabbit.
I think that's what's wrong with some of the like society nowadays too. Is like people can get away with walking around and talking and treating people with disrespect. Where it used to be okay to pop somebody in the mouth or handling a certain way, and you're like, oh, okay, no, they deserve it. They go like. When did that start to get away?
Yeah, my
when
dad
did that
again,
become a defense mechanism?
When we got to a point where we're starting proper school and all that.
Yeah.
And you go and obviously we were a little bit different because we were from out of town. We brought up in the country, and the town lot like, oh, these are different. And they used to pick on you. And if you got belted or head butted, which I have, my nose has been broken a few times, and you go home and like my dad would be like, "Who's done that?" Go, "Oh, it was David, Dad. David Thompson." Right, come on, get in the car. Get in the car. And he'd take you to he knew who it was. He'd take you to the house, knock on the door, say, "Right, where's your son? Look what he's done to my son." "Oh, right. Bring him to the door. And my dad would have it sorted out there and then. And if you had to, my dad would be like, "Right, now belt him." In front of in front of the other kid's father.
Yeah.
Belt him.
Yeah, they were...
and the other dad would be there going, "Oh, it's going to be trouble," because my dad would have him. there was none of that. It's true though. It's true.
No, that's the good. Like there used to be like consequences because like it's a frame
consequences.
Yeah. So there's that thing that's like you can keep telling a kid that, hey, don't touch the stove while it's on. It's hot. It's not until they actually touch it and feel that it's hot that they're gonna believe you. So sometimes you gotta get popped in the mouth to understand that there's consequences for your behavior.
Yeah, I think he touched the stove, by the way.
No. We used to have open fires, and there'd be a grill round the fire. And my mum would do the bread. She'd make proper bread, and it would. Anyway, and we'd be like doing this, you know what I mean? And I remember it was our Stephen, my younger brother. My dad says, "Go anywhere near that again with your hands, and you'll know about it." And he didn't. And my brother's like, just about, he's a kid. My dad just grabbed his hand, pushed it straight in the grill. It went. All he had was shh, and he went, "Whoa!" And he marks across his hand. And my mother went up the roof. She said, "Eric, you've marked him. Oh, what have you done?" And my dad just went. He sat there and he went, "You'll never touch it again."
There's a facts. I mean, true. He never will.
He never did.
He never did.
Probably never cook a thing in the oven ever again in his life. Probably never touch an oven.
The thing is, these old ways of doing things, they worked.
Yeah.
Now we pussyfoot around everything.
They're frowned upon.
You're not even allowed to say a word without offending someone.
Yeah.
What society comes to?
I look at it like this. I think that was some things brutal? Of course, I think there was some things that were very, very brutal.
Of course,
Right?
really brutal.
I mean,
But life's brutal.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I was about to say.
My dad hit me so hard one time that my mum kept me off school for a couple of days because my mouth was out here.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Leonard's right, and that's kind of my point. Is life is brutal. Like, you're going to be in a situation one day where everything you've said, all this, you can't commit a crime because there's a law. It's like that doesn't stop the person from committing the crime, right? Laws. I can't remember who it was that said this, but somebody said a country just starts creating more and more laws when it's dying. A dying country just creates more and more laws because it thinks that by creating more laws, people will follow it. No, people break the law because they don't understand the respect and the danger of breaking the law. Why? Because they've never been punished for doing a bad thing, right? This is a really important fact right here. When you are punished for doing a bad thing, right? We're talking about the olden fashioned ways. Maybe sometimes people got punished for doing good things. Maybe they shouldn't have. Who knows? But the truth of is that most people back then were punished for doing a bad thing.
Well, if you were
truly punished, especially the coppers.
If you were put in prison back in them days, you were breaking rocks every day.
Yeah.
What do they do now? Give them televisions and gyms.
Yeah. And coppers these days can't even really touch a guy until he's committed a crime.
Yeah, because in this country, I mean, obviously America's completely different.
Yeah,
but in this country, they have this like stick and they'll go stop, or I'll say stop again. Oh, stop, because I said stop. No, stop. Yeah. And he's like, see you later, mate. See you later, and off he goes.
Yeah, and the paperwork as well. The paperwork,
and it's true. The police have got to be so, especially with the youth. If the youth say bad stuff to a policeman over here, and they're abusing them or throwing stuff at them. A policeman. If I did this, if I was a policeman, go, come here, son. That's it. The policeman's in court for just a grievous bodily harm.
Yeah.
That's how bad it's got.
Yeah. And it's again,
the worst state, as I call it. The worst state.
And again, I want to preface for a lot of guys out there, because I understand some people have had bad experiences, right? And so I want to make this very clear. I get it. Like, bad things do happen. Yeah, but guess what? Right? And Leonard said this earlier. Life's brutal. This stuff does happen. And this is why it's much better when this is taught by a father, right, to his son, to his daughter, that, hey, people might try these things.
Leonard,
people might hurt you this way.
Leonard, what mixture have you got of children, boys and girls?
4 boys, 3 girls.
So what do you do with the boys? Is it
I'm definitely harder on the boys than I am on the girls, because I also know that
like,
because
do you play with your boys? As a dad,
yeah.
Do you rough them up?
Yeah, wrestle around with them. Yeah,
rough them up properly. Yeah.
Yeah. Give them their level of aggression. Yes.
No, I'm
their
talking
age limit.
Right. But I'm talking to the edge of them going, I hurt, Dad. I hurt a bit. That kind of toughness.
Yeah. A little sting.
They soon harden up, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah. And again, it comes back to that thing we were saying earlier. It can be done in many ways, right? You can toughen somebody up in many, many different ways. And I think now more than ever, especially in this day and age, mental toughness more than physical toughness.
Yeah,
right?
because as we know, we have these conversations as well, is that the biggest battle, the Third World War, is here.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's right up here.
And I think that's what, like, I was going to say too, because like when you was asking when these changes, like, we got to get tougher, but also what we need to have too is emotional intelligence. You got to teach these men how to be tough in situations when they need to be tough, but also have the emotional intelligence. And it falls back to this quote, and I love this quote, and it's, I'd rather be a warrior in the garden than a gardener in the war, which means I'd rather have the capability of causing disruption, but have the strength and the willpower to know when and when not to provide that strength. So I think that's what we've gotten away from.
We are in a spiritual war. There's no question about it. It's a mind war. There's no question. You only have to look at the media. That people believe what's thrown in front of them on their iPads, on the televisions, because everybody lives on their phones. I mean, I went out for a meal with one of my friends, and we really just started noticing this. This is a couple of years back now, when the media, the phones were getting a little bit bigger, the screens were getting more fancier, and we went to this restaurant, and I hadn't seen him for a bit, and it was like, we'll go and have a meal together, and we were sat, and our phones were out of the way, completely out of the way, and we were eyeballing each other, having a laugh, talking. And then I said to my friend Tim, I said, have a look at that table over there. He looked behind him. And we were both staring at the table. There was obviously a lad and a lass. And whether he took her out to the restaurant or vice versa, I don't know. And they both were taking pictures of the food and texting on and there was no eyeballing between two people at all. And that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Division.
Yeah, it's not like
I
you're
said,
being
sorry,
present in that moment.
Yeah, and I said again, I think it must be 30 years ago now, Leonard. I said, because I talked with some friends, because I noticed a shift in relationships. And I said, we're heading for a single society. Now, I've been on my own now for 16 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't need to say anymore.
No. And to be fair, I want to make, let's say it how it is. There's a lot of women who come up to my dad because basically, they look at him and they think, hey, like this guy's a bit older, bit money, bit of this, bit of that, and they basically, they want to.
I get a bit, let's be truthful, I get a bit fed up with the young lasses coming up to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sugar daddy, huh? That's what they want, but that's not what you supply. I got you.
Yeah. No. Basically. And what's interesting about that is the fact that as he said, he said that we were going to head for a single society, and he sees it because obviously all these younger women want a sugar daddy, and yet it's like none of them will look at somebody their age and say, hey, you know what? I should help build a man. I should help build a relationship. I should help build a family. I should help build a foundation for a solid long-term relationship that ultimately will lead us into a place of success.
But what they say, I've had them say, I don't want to get involved. I've got my career to think about.
Yeah.
They don't want to get involved. They just want to have some fun.
And like from a man's standpoint too, like especially like what you're saying there, like younger women coming up or even some, they look at it from such a business standpoint, like what you can do to provide. You as a man, you don't even feel like you're solidified in a role. You just feel like a stepping stone boyfriend or a stepping stone man. You're just here until you find somebody better than me, and then you're going to go move on if you think you can do that.
Yeah, I'll give you one prime example. I won't go through all of them because there's hundreds, but I'll give you one prime example. Met this girl on a night out. She was very sophisticated, highly intelligent. She did these motivational conferences, motivate people and stuff. I was like, oh, that's quite interesting and stuff. And I just stood there and I went, do you fancy going out for a meal one night and find you super interesting? I wouldn't mind taking this conversation a bit further. She went, oh yeah, that'll be really good. There's my number and all that. Left it for a few days and stuff, and then texted her, said, when would you be free for a meal? We sorted that out. And we went out for a nice meal, and guess who paid for it? I did. Guess who paid for the fuel? I did to get there. But anyway, we went through all this, and the first thing I noticed when I picked her up, from this moment, I knew it was just going to go.
Yeah.
I picked her up. She got in the car. What was the first thing that came out of her mouth?
Something about the car.
I thought you drove a better car than this. And I'll tell you what, we still went for the meal because I'd already arranged it. I paid for it. And it was a case of, you're not going to last 5 seconds. I dropped her off and I went, yeah, see you. Bye. Yeah. You're not going to see me again.
Yeah.
Fancy saying that to somebody, though. Saying that to a guy. I've just put myself out to book a meal and all that, and I'm driving there. And she turns around the first minute she gets in the car. Is this all you drive? You got anything better? I thought you'd have been an Audi man.
See, I get that all the time because I don't drive and I don't have my license, but it's because my leg injury, it affects me driving and it inflames it up and everything like that. So wow. They don't ever they almost took it from the knee down. So I got to really watch how I handle it. So when I tell girls, they're like, you got a car? I'm like, no. So their first thing is like, oh, you broke this, and that. You can't do that. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I just can't drive. Or I prefer not to because I'm trying to salvage his leg for what I can. I Uber everywhere. I'm chauffeured everywhere else around and all that stuff. But like just from that thought that like, oh, you don't have a car. And it's like that right there. Like they judge off that so quickly and thinking that, oh, you got a better car.
Yeah. But don't you think I think it's got worse.
Yeah.
The way women are to men.
Yeah.
This is why I'm still single.
And also vice versa, though. I want to make this very clear to people because I look at a lot of this and I still blame men. And
men are to blame as well.
I blame men, though, because of the fact that they're not taking responsibility anymore.
Exactly.
So somebody like yourself, you take a lot of responsibility. I mean, I only have to look at the relationship you had with my mum. And obviously, I don't want to air a bunch of stuff. but essentially, you had to take a lot of responsibility for the things that happened, right? And vice versa as well. And the thing is, I look at the modern way, and I see men, and we spoke about this at a coffee shop. Actually, it was on a vlog of mine. Men sexualize all the time. They don't look at a girl's face and eyes and personality and say, "Are you a good person?" Right? Instead, they look at their body, their bum, their whatever, right? And then they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to take it to bed." And these men who are doing this are men of status, with money, with nice cars, fast cars. And so women's egos are being inflated all the time because they're constantly being bedded by these high status men. The problem is that these men don't actually care about them. They just care about their body because they're sexualized, because they've been watching too much porn, things like this.
They're a trophy, aren't they? Basically, they're a trophy.
Yeah. Well, I have this to say too. When modern day now, when do men actually get compassion at all? Is it only during sex? Is that the only time we get any type of personal compassion and loving and caring of any? It's during sex, right? The women, we don't get rubbed upon. We don't get hugged upon. We don't none of that. We don't get no type of compassion outside of sex. So in a world that's gotten so hard, where a woman don't need a man ain't worth nothing. You're only as good as what you can provide. When a man's like, well, this is the only time I can get compassion in this hard ass world. How do you not expect so many men to be so focused on that when that's the only way they can get some type of compassion and personal feeling that women get just from men on a typical basis?
Yeah.
Well, you two guys are younger guys, okay? I mean, what do you think about, you go out, maybe you meet someone, but that first night you meet someone, they just sleep with you. I mean, how's that going to make you feel that person, even though you like them?
Yeah.
Or you kind of like them because,
I have actually not pursued relationships with certain people because they've slept with me too early. And I've been very.
Do you think it destroys it quite quickly?
I think so. Yeah. I've been very fortunate to be taught by you, and because
what did I say, a 6-month rule?
Yeah,
at least a 6-month rule.
You know what's crazy is this is a crazy thing, right? Yeah, 6 exactly. So
for date, so 6-month rule if you plan on dating that person.
Courtship. Yeah, so as in getting to know them,
and taking them out, getting to them, holding hands down the beach. Talking to someone,
kissing, things like this. Like you can
kiss and you can touch.
No bedding though.
There's no bed. You do not take them to bed.
Yeah, courtship, real courtship. And this is a crazy thing, right? Because me and Leonard are quite involved in the world of there's these essentially there's a war on the internet, right? Versus the red pill, the blue pill, right?
Right, okay.
And we try to take a center stance, but there's some things we say, hey, you know what, red pill. Some things we look at and we say, hey, you know what, maybe a little bit more on the softer side on that, right? You got to find a fine balance between a lot of things. And the thing is, in this situation, I go against a lot of what these major red pill guys are saying, but I also go against what these blue pill guys say. I look and I say, look, right, I absolutely categorically agree with the fact that the modern wave of women and men and etc. It's like a fight. It's competition to constantly be better than each other. Competition to constantly who has more bodies, who has less bodies, whatever. Right? Whereas the truth be told, the way it should be done isn't that you're constantly chasing after this woman. Isn't that you're constantly simping for her, as they say, buying all these meals for her, even though she doesn't care about you. No. It should be that she looks at you and says, "Hey, how are you doing?" You say, "Hey, how are you doing?" "Oh, blah, blah, blah." You get talking to each other. You start to get to know each other a little bit. You start thinking, "Oh, they actually like that thing. They actually like that thing." She's actually attractive. I sort of had an initial bit of attraction to her anyway. And then you start talking about it more and more. And then she's like, "Okay, well," you're like, "Okay, well, let's go to the beach or whatever." And she's like, "Okay, let's do it. And then you go to the beach, you hold hands, maybe you kiss. And yet 4 weeks has now passed and you've had a couple conversations, right? You haven't been constantly texting each other every day. "Hey, how are you? How are you? Hey. Like, this is the problem, is that people have constant connection to each other. Constant. They don't have time. You see, the reason courtship worked back then is because it would be weeks at a time before you see each other again.
You wouldn't see them.
Right?
Yes.
Weeks at a time.
We didn't have mobile technology.
Yeah, exactly.
So you'd have to knock on the
Yes.
door. You're not going to walk where I live. I mean, you used to walk right across town. It would take an hour or more.
Yeah.
So you weren't going to do that every day.
No.
There's no chance.
No, exactly.
So you'd go, all right, well, I'll see you maybe in a week's time, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, we'll meet at such and such. Or you were lucky that they had a phone and you had a phone which you had to dial. You know what I mean?
And so I think instant connection is half of the problem as well. I think that's why, because he did teach me. He said, call. Don't just bet
It's so
immediately.
important because it's about getting to know the person.
Yeah.
You need to at least get on with each other intelligently.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because most people jump into bed. It's crazy this because I've seen it happen so many times. You go out for a night out, seeing one of the lads jump into bed with the last straight away. Not kidding you when I say this. I'm not kidding you. Married within 2 months, right? Did that last? Did you think that lasted for a lifetime or an eternity?
You already
No.
You know the answer.
No.
It didn't.
No.
And it's sad.
Yeah.
It's so sad because he never got to know about her and she never got to know anything about him. And it was like, just jump into bed. Let's have some sex. Great. Bing, bang, wallop.
Yeah.
We've had a good couple of hours and that's it. And then she'll get up and disappear because it happened to me. I'm going to hold my hand up. I will hold my hand up. That I went through a really bad patch with myself, and I was trying to rediscover myself, because I was so emotionally distraught after the split up, and not being able to see my boys regular and all that, and I locked myself away for a year. Locked myself away. But when the trigger clicked inside me, believe me, most of the women I met, it was like, "Do you want to come home with me?" Yeah, okay. Bing bang bosh. They get a taxi. That was it. But I couldn't keep that up. It was great at first as a guy. I'm like, match me. I'm macho. I'm a real man. I'm sleeping with all these women. It felt amazing. But all of a sudden, out of the blue, when this was happening more and more and more, where the women would just get up very quickly, get dressed very quickly, even sometimes when I was asleep, and I'd go, "Oh, they've gone." It started feeling very, very cold indeed. And my heart became this cold, awful place. And it started making me feel ill.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I just went, I can't do this anymore. I'm not prepared to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And I tried a couple of serious relationships, but again, the women I was emotional women. Baggage is the worst thing for when you meet some women who've had kids or divorced or whatever.
Yeah.
And it just,
I was about to say, is that the problem you
last.
find with at your age trying to date? Because I'm 34, so is
You
that something you find
whippersnapper.
hard? Yeah, so is that something you find harder at your age trying to date? Is that like
It's
most of the women that are good are already taken, and then if they are single, they already got a lot of baggage?
Yeah, I know some lovely women who are married and that, and they turned and said, "Mike, if we were single, we'd take it off the shelf tomorrow." But at this age now, I think it's probably the hardest ever to try and find somebody.
Yeah.
I've tried a couple of dating sites and stuff, but again, you meet the lunatics on the dating sites. I've had a few, and it's like crazies.
Yeah.
It's like, and I kept saying, "Have I got tattooed across the top of my head? Go with me if you're crazy. It's like, I'll accept you."
Yeah.
And it's been difficult for me. So I've chosen now, Leonard. I made that conscious decision now. I think it was 6 years ago now, 7 years ago, something like that. Yeah. I just said, no more. I'm going to have this great life. I'm going to enjoy myself, enjoy company of my boys when they want to be with me. I've got a lot of hobbies. I've got a fantastic circle of friends. Some are married. Some I've got girlfriends. Some live with their partners, and others, just like me, don't bother. I mean, one of my friends who's in Saudi Arabia at the moment, he just said he just finds it super hard to date an English woman.
Yeah.
And he's been single a long time.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's sad. Wow. It's sad. People say to me, "Oh, Mike, you'd make a great husband." I said, I just want to get married again. I don't think I could handle it again. You'd make a great guy for some woman. I'm like, no, I'm fine. I'm fine.
And again, we also go back to the other thing. It's like the younger women want him as a sugar daddy. The older women have got all this baggage.
Yeah, because if I right, for instance, the younger, like I was at the time, I don't mind saying this, but I was 40, 44, 45 at the time, and I was going out with an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
Now, that didn't last too long, and I'll tell you the reason why. Because people look at you and go, "That's disgusting. Look at him. What a filthy creature he is." Wasn't my fault. She came onto me. And of course, I'm a man, and what do men do?
Yep.
You're a young guy.
Yeah.
That blood inside you is going, "Caw.
Yeah.
Am I a lucky guy? Look at I make the most of this."
Yeah, because there's still a little bit of us that our reputation does matter. Like, we don't care what you think about us, but there's still a reputation that, like, when I walk out there, I don't want everybody thinking that the person I am is this or that type of persona.
Yeah. I it's crazy. So, like, this whole conversation, like, there's a big thing that underlies all of this, which is that, again, the majority of young guys cannot control themselves when it comes to that stuff. Like they really struggle to control themselves. They get, like you said, they get a little bit of that compassion because somebody decided to sleep with them. They get that little bit of
No, it runs away with
feeling,
them. It runs away with them.
and they get addicted to it.
Yeah,
They're like,
yeah,
I want this, I want it all the time,
yeah,
and they can't control themselves. And it's this is why, again, I come back to that whole point that I blame men for it. I think overall, the real big thing I think that people are missing from their lives when it comes to a good father, when it comes to good relationships, etc., is purpose.
yeah.
Yeah, but I think people just understand sometimes purpose also don't always mean something big and grand. Everybody thinks everybody's purpose is going to be, somebody that makes the hugest impact on the world, but the soldier ants is what helps make everything else happen. Like everybody, nothing can function without the low people doing the small things that nobody thinks matters, like the food, fast food, and the janitor stuff. That stuff still matters because if the janitor ain't showing up cleaning stuff, everything's nasty. If everything's nasty, then our health is messing up. So you're still just as valuable, even though you might not be Julius Caesar, who goes down in history and everybody's going to know their names. You still take a part in this world, being able to still go on and continue, no matter how big or how small of a role you're playing. And like what you were saying earlier, like you say how you blame men, everybody has an equal blame in this. Is what I feel.
Has to do.
Men,
Fair
enough,
women,
fair enough.
and society. So because
Yeah.
society's doing things that's making men not feel comfortable to do what they need to do, and they gotta, men. When we get to a certain place where we start expressing ourselves and we're saying our concerns and we're trying to fix things, and that things ain't getting fixed and we're not being heard, we just fall back into a place where we can survive. We're always just trying
Yeah.
to survive at
Yeah.
the
Well,
end of the day.
guys get frustrated very quickly if things are not going fast enough. Guys have no patience.
Yeah.
They want it now. We can't wait till tomorrow.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
need it
Especially
to do it
if
now,
we
so-
think we know what is right to fix it, we definitely don't
Yeah,
have the
yeah,
patience.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
no, do
yeah,
it this
yeah,
way.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's very true, and I just look at like the next generation and I just think to myself, like, what's the next big challenge? What's I mean, there's a classic saying which is hard times create strong men create easy times create weak men.
Well, no,
And
I'd like to think that a young guy like you and Leonard there, I mean, what you're doing online I think is just terrific. What you're doing. So,
Yeah.
you're starting to change things or perceptions in people's minds,
we
people's
hope,
minds.
my hope, and I know Leonard's is too, it's that somebody watches this and they change their life because of it. They change their life for the better.
Well,
should I say?
look up today. The guy that's just messaged you back off
Yes.
seeing me, Leonard. Basically,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I'm a superstar already.
so somebody left a comment on a video that I recorded me and my dad.
It was so amazing, honestly.
And he said,
truly amazing.
He said he was a 45-year-old guy, and he said, watching this has made me realize I still have time. Like I still have time to change my life. I still have time to do things. Because my dad's how old are you, Dad?
61.
61 years old. He's 61 years old, and he's out here doing podcasts with me.
Get in.
Like trying to post some suits and what have you, trying to help.
Let's get
guys
some.
out. And again, full circle again, man. Like even at his age, he needs purpose still, man.
Absolutely.
I mean, we were talking in the car on a video about how people his age now, they've maybe got a wife, maybe they haven't got a wife, maybe they've got a girlfriend, whatever. They spend 90% of their time vegetating on a couch watching the news, right? Watching TV.
Well, they just don't do much
They
anymore.
have nothing left. And whenever these people die, you always hear the same thing. I wish I did this. I wish I did that.
Yeah, when it comes to that the point where because there's a lot of people dying in their early 60s or late 60s now, more so now than ever. But there's so many regrets with people going, hey, you hear it all the time. I do. It's like, hey, I don't know. If I'd only base jumped when I was going to do it, but and I'm like, well, you're only 67. Jump out of a plane, do it.
I think
buddy up with someone, do it.
Yeah, I think it's because I think so many people think purpose is a lifetime thing. What your one purpose, you can only have one purpose for life, and that's what it is all the time. Not realizing that your purpose can change out through your journey of life.
Yeah.
And I like to use sports as an example of this because you might be playing football from elementary to middle school to high school to college to NFL, but then once you retire NFL, what you do now, because your purpose has been football all life. What's your purpose now? So a lot of people don't realize that they had a purpose. They've grown, life has changed, and they've been stuck on that purpose, that they ain't realized that their purpose has grown just like they have grown and has adapted and changed into something else.
Yeah, it's so true, man.
But the people think that if let's use football as an example. It's like they've done that throughout school, blah, blah, blah. They get to the end of it and they finish school and that's all gone by the wayside. But it doesn't have to stop there. They could become a football coach,
also
a
true, yeah.
football
Well,
teacher.
yeah.
They could design
Analyst,
something for football that's really
commentator,
cool.
Yeah,
photographers, like we've seen
Yeah.
that several times. So like
Yeah.
exactly. So what's now the next step of your purpose? And it can
They
still
can keep
be
that going.
in what you love. It's just now you
Exactly.
might not be on the field, you're on
Yeah.
the sideline, but you're still playing the purpose and the role of
Exactly.
making the
Yeah.
game go.
It's just like myself. I mean, I've been a musician since I was 9 years old, and no, I don't think I'll go into that detail on this one. But I got into the music for a reason, and I became very extrovert because of it. And I went through my life, learned to play the guitar and being in out of bands and stuff like that. And it's like I thought, okay, where's it going to go from there? Now I actually thought in my head, because one of my teachers said, you're about to leave school and what do you want to do, Michael? I said, I want to be a pop star. And they went, no, this is reality. Hello, reality. I went, right. They said, what do you want to do? Do you want to be a joiner, a brickie? And I'm like, no, I want to be a pop star. They went, nah, I think you're on the right track here. Now, I didn't necessarily become a pop star. I got very close. I nearly got signed to EMI Publishing and another record company in Scotland. I auditioned for some, one particular band that became quite famous. But I thought, okay, it's not going the way I thought it would. But accidentally, I started having young people come to me and I started recording because I got into the production, being a producer and creating music and stuff and helping write songs for other people. And it was like, all of a sudden these young people have come through my door and I'm just doing my thing thinking, oh, well, this feels good. I'm helping that young person and that young person. And the shocking thing was I hadn't realized that what I was doing, I'd found a brand new forte into something that was much greater than me because some of these people went on to sign record deals.
Mm.
And I'm there going, oh, wow. Oh my goodness. So I wanted to be a pop star myself, but I'm now like looking through the eyes of these kids. It's quite amazing.
Yeah, and see, like I always say this too, because like that's something like I had growing up too. Like I'd say what a dream was going to be, and they're like, okay, what's reality? But in reality, I wish they would have said, okay, or explain to me better, because everybody's like, okay, we need to have a plan B to back up. That the plan B ain't necessarily backup. Sometimes plan B is what you do to set up your plan A to happen. Yeah. So you have to do that in the meantime. Because like, all right, I might want to go be this pop star. I might want to go create content or this photographer. Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to have to go work fast food for a couple years to save up this money. I want to go buy this house or whatever. Well, I might have to do this to make this money before I can get to there. And a lot of people always think that that's my fallback plan. I'll do that after I already chased my dreams. Like sometimes you got to do your plan B to be in pursuit to chase your plan A.
Well, the thing is, your path doesn't stop. That's the interesting thing. Because for me, that music could have stopped, but I had a heart for it. And I loved it, but it went off in a different way. I still do music for myself. I've got stuff out there on Spotify, and I signed a record and did a remix for a label down south. So I've had some success about what I'm doing myself. But it's interesting how my path went. Yeah, you're going to be helping young people here, and you're going to be helping them create their music, and then they're going to go on, oh, right, I've had a phone call of a guy. Oh, Mike, I've been signed to a record label. Next minute, he's on Bollywood. I'm like, what the heck? And he's a big star now. And it's like, oh my God, this kid came through my door and I learned him to sing better and helped him write songs.
Yeah. And that's something that me and Leonard talk about all the time. We say that you don't have to be number one. You don't have to be the best, the greatest of all time.
But the thing is, as a man, I wanted to be a pop star. I wanted to be a big, massive pop star, but it just never was meant to be. Of course.
But like you just said earlier, it's like you don't have to be number one. You don't have to be the greatest of all time. And on top of that, your purpose can still be in the thing that you love. Just because you didn't get it in the way that you wanted it doesn't mean that you have to let it go and that's right. It. It's game over, no more.
No.
It's like, no. You could teach it. You could inspire other people to do it. You could commentate on it. You could be whatever it may be, right? You could be a photographer for it, whatever. And it's like there is a million options out there. I mean, I look at engineering as a prime example, right? As somebody who loved engineering for a long time, and obviously my purpose is veered off differently now, but I loved engineering for a long time. I loved the creating things. I loved the designing things. I loved all of it. However, in engineering, there is multiple. Like, when I say multiple, I mean hundreds of ways you can go in engineering. I mean, I'm talking from the sales to the designing to the programming to the machining to the installing to the welding to the props to the bridges to like the buildings, whatever. The architect, like engine, like it just. There's so many options, and it's like if you want to be in a certain, if you want to have a certain type of life, don't expect what's you said it before, Leonard, about expectations, right?
Oh yeah. It's replace expectations with opportunity and opportunistic.
Yes, exactly. Replace having expectations with being opportunistic and just look and think, okay, like I want to go this way. However, it may not go the exact way that I want it. However, there might be a great opportunity that arises from this, you know.
Yes.
And a prime example is right here, right now. You know, like my dad just said there, he wanted to be this great pop star. And he has this incredible studio upstairs that he spent years, and I mean years, putting together. Right back when he had nothing.
16 years.
16 years.
It took me 16 years to build it up.
And this is back from when he had absolutely nothing, building up slowly.
Zero.
Yeah.
I had zero.
Yeah. And so the thing is, I look at that and I say, okay, well, he wouldn't be a big. He put all this effort and time into this thing, and most importantly, he stayed consistent at it. And yet he didn't get it the exact way that he wanted it. But look at all the people that he's affected. Look at all the amazing lives that are now being lived simply because he had a conversation, right? But simply because he brought somebody into his house when nobody else would. Like I say,
that's true.
We've had a criminal sleeping on this couch right here, right? A criminal has slept on this couch. A guy that nobody else would bother with.
He knocked on my door and said, "Nobody else will take me in."
Yeah.
I need one night. It wasn't just the one night. I washed his clothes.
Yep.
I took him to the help center and everything the next day.
And the point is, this guy was a thief as well. So it's like, you know, letting something like that in your house, you think, oh, well, like this isn't.
Well, no, I don't think he was a thief. I can't go into details. Obviously, I can't.
Right.
But it's like when you have somebody who's been in prison coming to your house, the first thing that runs through your mind is like, do I do this? And I ask God for this as well. I always trust God for the answers. And I say, Lord, is this going to be the wrong thing to do? Or I need an answer from you, because if he's going to steal from me, he could just let himself out the door and take everything.
Yeah.
And the Lord said, you're a Christian. This is your duty. You care for people lesser than yourself. So I listened to that. I let him stay, and everything was perfect. It was all right. And he thanked me. He couldn't thank me enough, I'll tell you.
And like I say, that's something that you could never expect. No expectation. But my dad looked at the opportunity. He said, okay, well, what can I learn from this? What can I do in this situation? How will this affect this guy's life? And for all we know, I don't know. I've not had any contact with the guy. I never met him. But I don't think you have either, have you?
No sense.
No. But for all we know, this guy's off living a great life now, doing great things.
Who knows?
You know, this is the thing. It's you don't have to be this flash upfront person. Sometimes you can be the person in the background. But I find it funny because it comes full circle, like I say. And it's almost as if a sign came and said, look, you're not going to be a pop star because that's not going to be the right path for you. That's going to put you in a position where you're partying all the time. You're doing all these wrong things. But you are going to help people. And suddenly now we're sat on a podcast, you know, and I'm doing it with him because I realize like his advice has been so good for so many people that have come through this very door and into this very room and had conversations.
A lot of your friends coming in.
A lot of my friends.
We partied hard.
Yeah. My young mates have come through, and my dad will whack out the guitar and be singing and and they would be like seriously affected by this. So like they would be seriously affected by this stuff, and it would actually inspire them to be better.
But again, a lot of your friends, their relationship with their dads weren't exactly great, were they?
Yeah, no.
Which mainly shocks me. It shocks me to the core.
Yeah. So
yeah,
you know,
it's a very common occurrence. Like it's it really is, because a lot of men, especially nowadays, don't know what to do, and a lot even more so now because a lot of men have just raised up in single mother homes and their dads haven't been around for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So it's even more so now that like a lot of guys don't have a good relationship with their father or even know who their father is.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know, my dad, again, with being a great dad, this was I've tried to teach this to Niles and Finley as well. My dad always said to me, he said, now listen, son, this is important, yeah, to a lot of you, to us as boys. He says, it's really important. He says, it really is, and he needs to go in there. He said, when all else fails, when you have nothing left, everybody's gone and disappeared from your life, your family's the only thing that you've got left.
Yeah.
That was it.
We've been big believers.
And that's why I'm a family man. my family, and I don't just class him and my other son, as my family. It's even though my brother's is hard work. He is hard work. He's still my flesh and blood, and I'll do whatever I can for him. But not just that, my friends that I've got in my life, they're family to me as well, because I'll have their back, they'll have mine.
Yeah.
So when everything else all fails, when everybody else has left you, you got nothing left. You're down on your backside, you and your rags and clothes. When you got your family, that's who'll be there for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say, because we said that a lot of times on here is like, family doesn't mean blood. Family means the people that are actually there acting as your supporting cast as a family that's always there, that has your back like that. So you can always rely on that family to be there, whether it's actual blood or if it's your friends.
And again, that's, yeah. And if you cut, that's what you come back down to, these fatherless lads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why their families or why their lives are in such tatters, because they haven't been taught that value.
Yeah. And the one thing I will say, though, this is why brotherhood is important as well.
Oh man, it's everything.
I look again to my dad and the way he treats his friends, and the way that they treat him, and there's almost respect both ways. But most importantly, once again, we're coming back to that same thing. Doesn't jump into like a friendship with somebody. He doesn't say suddenly doesn't meet somebody and the next day it's like, yeah, we're best mates. Like everything's gonna be fantastic between us. No chance at all. And this is the thing again. A lot of young lads do that because they're desperate for it. And it's like, I understand, but you've got to take your time. It's why they're getting the gangs. Yeah. So the thing is, it's like I look at my dad and his friends. It's like those relationships were cultivated over a long time, right? However, that being said, the connection was also very real. It's not just like they met each other and like, oh, we don't really care. Like, no, of course, we always say one
of the sayings is, brothers from another mother.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that relationship cultivates over time. And I look at the same with a lot of my old friends. I would still, if they rang me, I would answer the phone straight away because I know that's what he would do for a lot of the people he used to know, right? And it's like things like this are important. And if you do them, that means that other people start to do these things. And that brotherhood is really needed for a lot of guys. I mean, a lot of the fatherless friends that I had, that's exactly what they needed from me. They needed somebody who would pick up the phone. He'll tell you, I used to go out in the middle of the night get in my car
and pick somebody
up, and we'll go driving for hours in the middle of the night. We'll go all the way to this place called the Lake District near us, and we'll just be out in the middle of nowhere, just talking about life, relationships, whatever.
Women,
usually,
all the time.
Usually, yeah,
usually. But that's the point. Is like it's because they needed that. They needed a brother that they could rely on, that was there for them, like a father would be in a way. But like it was a bit obviously closer because it's somebody who's your age who, as far as you're aware, understands it, right? And so yeah. I mean,
yeah, no, because that brotherhood, just have somebody that kind of just empathize with what you're going through, and not just empathize, but like understands truly what it's like to go through that and feel it. That's why we said a lot of times, like, go to your other men, your male friends to talk, because they actually can understand what you're going through rather than just empathize. They fully understand. So we all got to have somebody that we can just talk to and kind of get some get things off of our chest, because sometimes we just need to vent. You be having so much frustration, you just need to get out, and like after you just said everything, like, I didn't need no answers, I just need to get that off my chest. I already know what the fuck I need to do. Now I'm gonna go do it. But thanks for listening.
Yeah, I mean, I've been with some of my friends, some of the emotional roller coasters that I've been through with them is like mind blowing.
Yeah
It truly is. But you sit there, you listen, and I'll tell you what, one of the most important things, and again, not many guys know how to do it, is hug your brother.
Right. So true, man. So true.
Yeah. That's it.
That's so true. I see it from that.
We're not talking about a wussy cuddle here.
No.
We're talking about
real embrace.
A man bear hug.
Yeah. Real embrace.
It's where you hold each other. I'll tell you what, when me and my mates, sometimes when we hold each other, when it's that time to do that, we can hurt each other a little bit.
Yeah.
It's quite painful because that hug is tight.
Yeah.
It's like locked in.
Yeah.
You are locked in with your brother.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
The feeling you get from your heart explodes. You're thinking, yeah. The guy's got me. He's got me. I've got him.
And again, we see both extremes, right? How these people who have no brothers, that are addicted to the internet, who can't just take a step outside.
So how do you solve that? How do you solve the young guys that are relying on the internet or
keep talking, man?
But don't you think though?
You got to learn how to use social media to a positive way instead of sitting there as your escape. You got to use it as to find other people like you to build that brotherhood. That's what the thing is. People are misusing a tool that they could actually use to help them a lot quicker to find people and to find their camaraderie where, you know, you was just stuck at home back in the day. You didn't have nobody. You didn't have the pen pal. You had to find a pen pal. Now you can go on social media, find people that feels like you, and that's how you need it. But so many people
don't you think though
distraction.
Yeah, but don't you think that young people can pick up on all the wrong things on the net though as well? Because there's so much, so much garbage. So much garbage. And AI now, man, that's scary. That is scary now.
Yeah, yes and no. I mean,
but that's with anything, moderation, right?
It is for me.
Because anything you can use badly, you can. I mean, any tool you can go out there and use to be bad. So it's just social media. I don't think that it's been around long enough for people to understand and grasp fully. Like some people have, but grasp fully like how this can actually change so many people's lives, and you can actually reach people. Because Theo Von said it. Like that's the thing that sucks about being alone. It's not that you don't feel like you got anyone. So it's that you don't feel like anybody has you. And the social media is, even though you feel alone in that moment, there's millions of other people out there that feel exactly like you're feeling. And if you just learn how to open up and express that on social media, you'll find that brotherhood or that camaraderie or that friendship that you've been looking for.
Well, again, I think that's why what you guys are doing, this whole thing you started, you know, I've watched a few of them. It's like, I'm like, that is so good, man. You know, it's kind of you reaching out. And I know you guys are like, if there's guys out there that are lonely, that feel are isolated or frustrated, and they've got people like yourselves that can latch on and say, hey guys, would you talk to me? Would you, you know, give me a conversation? And you guys would be like,
we'll try our best. Yeah, we'll try.
I'd do the same. I'd actually do the same. If somebody reached out and said, hey, dude, I like what you talk about. Would I kind of get some advice? And I have had it. I've got a few people they said, "Oh, can I get some advice off you?" And that, and I don't even know them. You know, I hardly know them. But then I feel like I'm a spiritual dad. I'm a spiritual dad to some people.
Because I was told early on, like, hey, it's good to make it out that dark place, but it's even better once you make it out, reach back and pull others out as well. And that's I think that's what we're trying to do here. Is just
it's brilliant.
Exactly.
It's brilliant.
Yeah,
in this modern age, we like you say with everything that's going on. We're so. I keep saying this, we're so connected, but we are so disconnected at the same time.
It's exactly what Leonard said. It's because on social media, you have this thing where you can have everybody's back, right? Like people can reach out to you and you can have their back. But what you don't realize, and everybody feels the same way, despite the fact that everyone's reaching out to you, despite the fact that all these people are connecting with each other, the text on a screen does not hit the same as a guy, a girl, if you know, for women out there as well, right? It is not the same of having somebody in person saying to you physically.
What we do?
What's up? Exactly, right here, like this, right? And having that embrace as well, like he just said, that's so important. And so many people don't do it, but it's like that's so important because, again, going back to the internet thing, all these people on the internet who are talking about like they've got a sad life, they've got this, that, the other, who are turning to AI tools now to get a fake AI girlfriend and everything. It's like you realize you can hug your brother, right? Like, why do these people on this side of the internet always believe that you can only hug a woman, that you can't hug your brother, that you can't literally have such a close relationship with your brother and look after each other, right? Like have that connection where you talk about serious gear. And on the other side of the internet, all these people who think that it's too emasculating to ever touch your brother. You should be sat there, like you know
why, Niles.
I know why, because all these people are too afraid of getting called out for being gay. You know, it's just like, bruv, like shut up, man. Like get your gear together, you know. And it's difficult. It's not easy. Sometimes, you know, you don't want to do it, but at the end of the day, it's important and people need to feel human connection, man, because the internet doesn't just cut it enough. There's what they call like a parasocial relationship that people have, right? And it's this idea that like right now, somebody's watching this video and they're thinking to themselves, wow, this is a great conversation. Wow, I'm really connected with these guys. And it's like, I agree. Like I'm there with you, but at the same time, and this is like a real thing. Like we're human beings doing this, talking right now, but you're not here with us. You know what I mean? Like you're seeing it after the fact and you're taking something from it, and you do take something from it, but it's not the same as being there, you know?
Yes, it's nice. Yeah, it's nice to have, but it doesn't replace that actual having that in the moment. Because
Yeah.
that's some of the things like when I was going through and I was reaching out through social media and stuff, and we've had these talks like through my
Yeah.
dark moments. Is like everybody's like, well, you got all these followers, you got people, but it doesn't make the
Yeah,
same as
exactly.
having somebody physically there that you can just talk to.
Yeah.
Like, hey man, can you just be here for me real quick? We ain't
Yeah.
gotta, we can just hang out. We could play some games. I just need somebody else other than myself to hang out with. And I also hate this excuse when you tell people that too. It's, well, you got kids, you got your kids, you can lean on your kids. If I can't handle what's going on with me and I'm starting to worry and break for what's going on with me in my real man world, why in the
Yeah.
hell would I go and vent that to my kids or try to put that on my
Exactly.
kids as it's their responsibility to lift me
Yeah.
up? That's my responsibility to
That's
lift
right.
them up, not the other way
Yeah.
around.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I've always lifted you up. I'm not.
yeah.
Have you ever had to lift me up?
No,
No.
and that is
No.
ultimately the life of a real man, as you were saying earlier. Once you become a real man, is when you become responsible for other people, and you get into that place where now every dark moment that you have, you can't bring that to those kids, to those children that you're trying to raise, and things like that. Like 100%, it's very, very true. So I want to kind of like wrap things up a little bit, and what we sometimes like to do is basically a big piece of advice that you have, right? So I noticed this episode we talked a lot about young men, and for any of the young women watching this, and any of the women watching this, any of the men watching this, like depending on what I say, young men, I mean young men, I think younger than him, right? Like I'm talking anybody.
What are you
who's
saying?
younger
Like
than-
you saying I'm older, something like.
middle age, But for any of the guys out there watching this, any of the women watching this right now, there's been a lot of different things we've talked about in this, and we've talked about how men are doing things wrong, women are doing things wrong, and how society is constantly in a competition with itself, pretty much. What's one piece of advice that you would give to the people watching this, both men and women, that they can apply to begin to better themselves, to somehow make the world a better place? What's a bit of advice you could give?
Flipping heck. That's a big, wide open question, that. Oh, lad.
What's something you could wish you could go back to tell your younger self?
I don't know. There's loads in my head. I think one of the things is for me is instead of like thinking about it and thinking maybe I should do this or should do that, is not to sit and ponder on it for too long. Because I used to, when I was a young lad, this whole thing about wanting to be a pop star, people think, oh, them have made it. It must be dead easy. I'll tell you now, it isn't. It isn't easy at all to become a star. And I used to think, oh yeah, do that. If I do this, I'll get really good at it. Or if I go to London like now, and I never did. Sometimes I got too lazy with it and thought, and I thought, mate, I'm not good enough yet. This is the other thing I kept saying to myself, I'm not good enough yet. No, there's no such thing. It's better to fail than not do it at all.
Yeah.
So I would say to anyone, if they're watching this video now, you've got 2 feet. Yeah. It's dead easy. Watch, it's dead easy. You just get up. You go, right, okay. That was maybe another step. Yeah. Oh, it's getting a bit easier. Another step, and just move forward. And yes, you're going to fail. You're going to fail at some of the stuff you're going to do, but so what? Who cares?
Yeah.
Who actually cares? Yeah. You just look at it and go, okay, maybe that was I took a branch on my path here. It's not exactly gone to plan. I'll come back on the path. Right. Okay. Then I must be destined for something else. Right. Okay. Well, I always want to be an artist. But if you look behind you right now, some of these paintings are mine behind you. Right. I fancied having a go at canvases, and I like abstract art. And they were like, well, you haven't painted, Mike. You haven't. I'm like, right. And there's a lump of canvas. There's some paint. Splosh, splosh, splosh. Does it look any good? Does it look good to me? Do I feel I've achieved something there? Yeah, I have. Then I've achieved something.
Yeah.
And just keep one step at a time. Move forward. Don't stop and fester, because the worst thing you'll ever do, because you're going to be really sad with yourself for that, and you're going to be miserable because you missed an opportunity. And I always said, there's loads of people out there, right? These young women, young lads, they could be the next one that cures cancer if they just apply themselves and say, I can be this great scientist. Well, just don't put it into your head. Once you put it into your head, do it. Do it to your best of your ability. And if it fails, then, hey, you tried it. When you go to your deathbed, like I will eventually, I can sit there and go, is there anything I missed here? Or is there anything I should have really done? and I'll be like, oh, I did that. Well, that was a good laugh. Hey, I did that. I remember that. I was on stage at that big festival that time because I pushed myself to be on a festival. Did that. And I'll be like, do you know what? I'm very content and happy because I pushed myself and I never, ever once put doubt into my head. I think, is that a long answer?
That's good. That was strong. Yeah, that was powerful. And it's right. Leonard says all the time, man, but the one foot in front of the other. What do we say? Small wins, right?
Small wins.
Small wins every day. Every day. Look, this has been an absolute pleasure, man. This has been incredible.
Wonderful talking to you, Leonard. Brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike.
I'm sorry that I spoke over you all the time.
No, you're fine, man. This has been a great conversation. Love the energy. Loved it.
Yeah. Dad, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thank you, Leonard. Really enjoyed it, my friend. And keep on doing what you're doing. Keep on doing what you're doing with your kids.
Guys at home, make
sir.
sure you comment below anything that you learned from this. We spoke about a lot. We really spoke about. I mean, essentially, my dad has just done a school lesson, a real school lesson. So yeah, comment below whatever you've learned, and be sure to check out some of our other stuff. We did an episode a while back called Fatherhood, where we spoke actually about mine and Leonard's story, about our own opinion of our fathers, and we spoke about presence, things like this, and the importance of it when it comes to having a father, and so. Yeah, just be sure to check out some of our other stuff, and like I say, comment below whatever you learn, because I sit here and to this day I still learn things from my dad, and sometimes I apply it, sometimes I don't, and hopefully you'll go away from this, like you said, don't just think about it, do whatever you think has come from this episode.
Nothing to lose, go for it.
Go for it,
Yes.
exactly. So yeah, this has been awesome, guys. All right, awesome.